Hello Westside, Gianna here. So glad that you decided to log on and watch with us today, whether it's the morning, the afternoon, the evening, whatever it is. So glad that you are here and watching with us. And we just want to welcome any of you who are new, who are watching. We have a special little gift to give you. So if you head into the comment section, there's going to be a link that says new. You're going to click that, give us some information about you, just our way of getting to know you more, follow up with you, and gift you a free Westside mug. I'm sure you've heard us talk about it so much, our small groups and our teams. We want you to know we are still building those and just getting ready to take off on that. And guys, teams is so important. Thank you guys so much for your servants' hearts and you're willing to volunteer and just you make Westside go round. So we are so thankful for you, and if that is something that you want to do, there's a bunch of options on whether you can serve in a team that's online or maybe in person throughout the week on Sunday. There's so many options for anyone. So definitely head to the website and find that link so you can find what is gonna fit right for you. And as always, we just want to give you the biggest thanks for your faithful giving, your generous hearts, the love that you pour into Westside. We wouldn't be Westside without you. So thank you so much for doing that. It's amazing to see the ways that you pour into Westside and how Westside is able to pour into so many different things, so many amazing things. So guys, thank you so much. I'm going to put on the screen a few ways that you can do that, whether that's the Tidely app, our online website you can give through, or the text to give option, a really convenient way to do that. And in person, if you are joining us in our in-person gatherings on Sunday at 5 p.m. at Willamette Christian Center. So guys, thank you so much again for your faithful giving. And today I have some special guests for you. Woo! These are my parents all the way from Southern California, and they have been logging on to Westside every Sunday and watching and staying connected online. So they just want to give a little testament to that.
Yes, that's true, Gianna. We've been enjoying being able to log on and follow you, and of course all the happenings at Westside.
And God's word resonates no matter what state you're in.
So we just wanted to say, no matter where you're watching from, whether it's states away, in Oregon, in Eugene, or all across the world, we want you to know that you are a part of Westside just as everyone else is. So we just want to say thank you so much for those of you who are watching far and near.
How are you doing? Hey, where are my balcony people at? Hey, balcony people, I like
Give
that.
Give it up for the balcony.
Yes.
Woo!
I love it. Oh, man. And then, you know what? What's really cool is we have people watching from home. We're really close to be able to get our live stream, like true live stream, up and running. So even when you can't be here, you could tune in on a Sunday night and just be right in kind of with what's happening here. Right now, we're recording it, releasing it a day later. But hey, those of you that are watching, thank you very much for watching. Really, really glad we get to do this together. One of our values, Gianna, is that at Westside, we take Jesus really seriously, but we don't take ourselves too seriously. That's an important value for us. And also, we know that we have a lot of kids in the room. Kids, we're so glad to have you.
Kids, where are you at?
So, hey, kids. Oh, okay, we have some adults waving their hands. I love it. I love it. Because we're all kids at heart, so that's why we usually play a little game. So, Gianna, tell us the game. What is it?
I have a fun game for us. You may have heard of it. It's not very popular. Rock, paper, scissors. So, I'm going to have all of you stand up, if you would, as we make you stand up in these games. So the process of the game is Brooks is going to be our ultimate rock, paper, scissorer, and we are going to have him and you play against each other. So I'm going to call out rock, paper, scissors, and on scissors, that's when you go. We're not doing the shoot thing.
So everyone is playing against me.
Yes.
All right? Yes.
So if you win, you stay standing. If you tie and do the same thing as Brooks, you stay standing. But if you lose, you sit down. Are you with me? Beautiful. And we're in church, so if you cheat, you know, God's watching you, you know. No, I'll keep an eye out. I trust you, to be honest. Okay, you ready for the first round? All right, ready? Rock, paper, scissors. So if you did paper, stay standing. If you did scissors, stay standing. If you did rock, sit on down. All right, we got rid of a good amount. Okay, are you ready for the next round? Rock, paper, scissors. Oh, we did paper again. Oh, all you rocks, take a seat. Beautiful. Okay, ready? rock, paper, scissors. Ooh, who did paper? Sit down if you did paper. Everyone else? Beautiful. Okay, we're getting down there. Ready? Rock, paper, scissors. Love it. Okay, speed round. Ready? Rock, paper, scissors. Ooh, okay. Still see some few people standing. Got one in the balcony. Ready? Rock, paper, scissors. Oh, we're losing them. Amazing. Okay, ready? Rock, paper, scissors. Ooh, what do we got? All right, so we got a few over here. Ready? Rock, paper, scissors. We got 3. Is there anyone else? Just these 3 over here? Okay, ready? Oh, we got one over here. Yes, perfect. Okay, ready? Rock, paper, scissors. Oh, beautiful. Okay, the final 3. Ready? Oh, okay. Beautiful. Oh, we love that. Okay, ready? Last one right here. Rock, paper, scissors. Oh, we got a tie. Beautiful. Good job, guys. Good job.
Good game. Sometimes you just need a little rock, paper, scissors in your life.
Yeah,
I love
it's
it.
a fun time.
Gianna, tell us about if you're new around here, we've got something for you. What is it?
Yes, if you are new, you can find one of the Connect cards to fill out in the back. There's going to be a little booth that says Connect. You're going to fill out information just so we can follow up with you, and you get to receive a free Westside mug, a very coveted, cute mug.
Love it, love it. That's our anti-ninja campaign, all right? That's how it works, because it's easy to be a ninja, slip in, slip out. We never knew that you were here. So we want you to fill that out. We'll give you a mug. That way we can keep in contact with you. Hey, a couple announcements that we want you to know about. One is real exciting. We are baby stepping towards being able to have full kids church up and running, okay? So we're making our steps to be able to do that. And the very first step is we're going to be opening up a classroom starting on March 28th. It's a couple Sundays away, and it's going to be just for the littles. All that information's on our website and in the email, but we just want to give you a heads up that we are baby stepping towards being able to have multiple classrooms for our kids. That's really exciting. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. As well as Easter's coming up. I don't know if any of you like Easter. I love Easter. And we're going to have a couple services, and we're going to have childcare at one of those services, as well as kids packs for Easter at home as well.
Yes, so we have Easter stuff for kids at home if you can't come, and then 2 services, one with childcare at.
Woo!
I love it, love it. So plans are in the works for Easter. This is coming up in just a couple weeks. And then last but not least, next Sunday, did you guys know, is daylight savings? Next Sunday, all right? So fall back, spring ahead, right? And that's how it works. So we lose an hour, but here's what's cool is it stays lighter later. And so we're entering into this new season where it's not going to be so dark in the evening. And so when you show up to church, it'll be light. And when you leave, it'll be light, and opens up some perhaps new opportunities for us to be able to do some stuff outdoors and hang out with each other.
So good.
Very, very cool. Thank you, Gianna, very much. And as always, guys, thank you so much for continuing to give. It's one of the things that we do as disciples. And so the Lord says, hey, whatever he's given you, then that means that as a follower of Jesus, we get to just be generous with it, whatever that looks like for you. And so one of the ways that we can be generous is with our church. And so if Westside has blessed you, if you believe in the vision and the heart of Westside, remember last week I showed you also all these different missionaries and organizations that we give to. And we don't take special offerings for those. It's just we want Westside to be a church that you're proud to give to and to give through. So when you give, we're also giving to organizations, missionaries, and then also to all the inner workings of our church. And that's a really, really good thing. And I'm excited for the days ahead, for all the things that get to happen. So thank you, thank you, thank you. There's multiple ways to do that. Lots of people do it online. Some people do it. There's an app you can do it through. And then also some people do the text to give option. If you're nervous about that one, it's actually very cool and easy. It's probably the most convenient way that people give. And then also you can bring it in person, and there's like a connect area out there where you can bring it. So anyways, thank you so much. Well, hey, we have a guest speaker tonight. I'm going to introduce her in a second. But before I do, guys, today is actually a really significant anniversary. We sent out an email this morning. I shot a little video and just took some time to talk about it, because this is the 1-year anniversary of 1 year ago was our last Sunday meeting for church at Prairie Mountain School. It was just 1 whole year ago. That was our last Sunday there. And then everything changed the next week. I just remember that week. It was a crazy week. We're just getting reports, and on Wednesday, we're like, no, we'll do church on Sunday. And on Thursday, we were like, I don't know if we can do church on Sunday. And by Friday, it was like, no, we just can't do church. And then at first, it was, hey, this will be 2 weeks. And then it'll probably be 3 weeks. And then it was like, hey, we'll be back for Easter. And then, we just all know how that went, right? What a crazy year. So I can't re-say everything that I said in the video, but I was trying to be really intentional with that video, just some thoughts and vision for our church. But here's just one thing I want to say, just on this significant anniversary is, a year is a long time. On one sense, a year it's felt really long. It felt so long ago. So a year feels like a long time. And then at the same time, a year is actually, in perspective, very short. A year isn't even that long. Remember, the Israelites were in captivity for 400 years. And there were times where they felt like God had left them and abandoned them, but he never did. He never did. And so the good news is that God is always on the move. And even though we've had to do so much adjusting this last year, Westside and North Eugene Faith Center coming together, all sorts of adjustments. Guys, I'm just proud of our church, and I just want to thank you. Thank you for being flexible. Thank you for for giving grace. Thank you for just, none of us knew what to do going into this world. And even I, as the pastor, nobody taught me how to pastor a church during a pandemic. I never took that class, And so we've just been trying things and just doing the best that we can. And I just wanted to say thank you from the bottom of our heart. The days ahead are bright, and I'm so excited for them. So anyways, I just wanted to say that. But tonight we have a guest speaker. It's a pleasure for me to invite Heidi Pasinic up here. So Heidi, come on up. But Heidi is, hey. You got an applause before they even knew what I was going to say about you.
Well, a lot of them already know me.
Yeah, so Heidi has been an associate pastor at North Eugene Faith Center for a while now. And so now that our churches are merged into one, I just thought, I would love to have Heidi come speak, communicate. We're in the middle of this sermon series on the parables. And I said, Heidi, I would love for you to speak. And so it's an honor, seriously, that you get to open up the scriptures with us tonight. So, hey, would you give Heidi another round of applause?
Thank you. I am so honored to be here with you. So thankful for this opportunity. And we're just going to dive right in and go into Matthew 15. So since there's kids in the room, I'm just going to go ahead and say this for your entertainment. This is the parable of poop and vomit, okay? So pay attention here. All right, so some Pharisees, this is Matthew 15, verse 1 through 20. Some Pharisees and teachers of religious law now arrived from Jerusalem to interview Jesus. Why do your disciples disobey our age-old traditions? They demanded. They ignore our traditions of ceremonial hand-washing before they eat. And Jesus replied, why do you, by your traditions, violate the direct commandments of God? For instance, God says, honor your father and mother, and anyone who speaks evil of father and mother must be put to death. But you say, you don't need to honor your father and mother by caring for their needs if you give money to God instead. And so by your own tradition, you nullify the direct commandment of God, you hypocrites. Isaiah was prophesying about you when he said, these people honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far away. Their worship is a farce, for they replace God's commands with their own man-made teachings. And then Jesus called to the crowds and he said, listen to what I say and try to understand. You are not defiled by what goes into your mouth, by what you eat. You are defiled by what comes out, by what you say and do. And the disciples came to him later and said, do you realize that you offended them by what you just said? Jesus said, every plant not planted by my heavenly Father will be rooted up. Ignore them. They are blind guides leading the blind. If one blind person guides another, they will both fall into the ditch. And Peter asked Jesus, so could you explain to us what you meant? That people aren't defiled by what they eat? Jesus said, "Don't you understand? Anything you eat passes out through your stomach and goes out of the body. But evil words come from an evil heart and defile the person who says them. For from the heart come evil thoughts, murder, adultery, other sexual immorality, theft, lying, and slander. These are what defile you. Eating with unwashed hands could never defile you and make you unacceptable to God." Poop and vomit. You know, I hope if you haven't had a chance to watch it yet, that you do watch Brooks's video. It was a really great, just honest look at this year. This has been a year that is full of a lot of difficulty, a lot of challenge, and a lot of grief. And if I was to think of a song that goes with this moment in time, really the one that comes to mind is from 1987. I know a bunch of you are going to know it, so feel free to sing along, all right? It goes like this. This is the chorus. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. What? And I feel fine. Right? I bet you never thought you'd hear that sung in church. But it is the end of the world as we know it. This moment, this year, we are easing our way back in to what life used to be. But there's this awareness that life may never be exactly what it used to be. And for most of us, we don't feel fine. I know that I'm not the only one that it's hard to say I feel fine in this time that we're living in right now. And so my question was, how do we as the people of God, how do we feel fine in this time when everything is changing so fast and we're just so tired of it? We're tired of it. We don't feel fine. We're tired of restrictions. We miss getting together. We miss public spaces like coffee shops and movie theaters. We miss being able to send our kids to school or go to work or hug people. We miss that idea of even just going to church and having to wonder, is this the wise thing to do, to go to church? And we can't hug and we can't eat with each other. We can't eat each other either. But we can't eat together. And so it's always this question and this striving to feel fine. And it's not easy to feel fine right now. And so when we don't feel fine, what is our tendency? I think a lot of times our tendency is to try to control the things that we can control because so much is out of control. And so we do things like clean obsessively. I mean, nobody in my house does that. I kind of wish that was our thing, but some people I hear clean obsessively or do things like we take up new hobbies because we need ways to be busy and things that we can control, or we argue about things like masks and social distancing and politics and all of those things. And it's not that these things aren't important. It's not that these are unimportant things. They're not exactly the wrong things to concern ourselves with. But what I am saying is let's make sure that when we're making decisions about the surface matters, that we're also thinking about the heart matters. And the Pharisees in the section of scripture I just read, they were in a situation that was actually similar to ours. They were in this time in their national life where they did not have a lot of control over how things were. They were being governed by Rome. Rome was actually in charge, and so there were soldiers around and all of these things. There was people there telling them what to do. And so what the Pharisees did is they struck this balance with the Roman government, and it was kind of this deal that if you guys can keep your people in line, then we will let you have freedom with your religion and some of these other things. And so all of these things that the Jews couldn't control. And so with the things that they could control, they got very particular. They got very particular about the things that they could control because there was so much that they couldn't. And this example in this story about the ritual hand washings, that's just part of it. This was one of those things where they tried to control the people because they needed to keep things even so there weren't riots and Rome would come in and, put the smack down. And so they were trying to balance their religious freedom with political agendas and their social influence. And so Jesus comes on the scene, and here is someone they definitely can't control, right? He was saying things that were different and new. He was doing things that were different and new, and they didn't quite understand him, and they couldn't control him, and so they didn't like him. You know what this kind of reminds me of, these Pharisees? Social media influencers. So what comes to mind when I say that? Social media influencers. Okay, so some of these people, basically, it comes down to they're people who make a living by sharing their opinion in online platforms, right? They are popular on YouTube or with a blog or some, TikTok or Instagram or whatever their platform is. These are people that are popular because they're popular. And some of them are celebrities, or singers or actors or something like that. But there's all these people that are social media influencers, and this is now actually the top career among kids these days. They want to be a YouTuber or a social media influencer in the world. And who can be a social media influencer? Well, it can really be anybody who's charismatic enough that you want to watch them. They don't need to actually have qualifications. But they make their money through ads and sponsorships and selling products, and they're just interesting to watch. Mr. Beast is a great example. Anybody know Mr. Beast? This is the one that my kids are on. 54.5 million subscribers. And he gets people to follow him by doing silly stunts and giving away money and cars and stuff like that. So people just love him because he gives stuff away. But a lot of substance? No, not a lot of substance there. So here's something that I don't think people often understand about Pharisees, is that, if you've been in church for a while, if you've heard of this word Pharisee, you probably know they were the super religious people who didn't like Jesus. But what not everybody realizes is that they were the social influencers of their day. They were the popular people. They were the one who were the celebrities. They had the influence and the religious power and really what is political power. And that's one of the main reasons they didn't like Jesus, because he was also very popular. And Jesus kind of made them look stupid just by being the wisest person in the room, right? I mean, you don't usually see Jesus picking the fight. They're picking the fight. And he's like, are you sure you want to pick a fight with me? But really, the Pharisees invented cancel culture. They were the inventors of the I will cancel you idea. Because now you say something that somebody doesn't like and they block you online on Facebook or whatever, they unfriend you and tell all their friends to unfriend you, and then you are canceled in our culture. Well, the Pharisee version of this was to bar you from the synagogue. They would say, you can't come worship here anymore because we don't like what you're saying. And so then you're a social outcast. And so people were very careful about crossing the Pharisees because they didn't want to be social outcasts. They didn't want to have no place to go and worship. They didn't want people to spit at them as they walked down the street. And so when they complained to Jesus about his disciples not washing their hands, he says, it's not what goes into you, what you eat, that's important. It's what comes out, your words, your attitudes, whether you love or hate. That's what's important. And so then the disciples come to Jesus with what is a really legitimate question here. And they come and they say, dude, because that's what they called Jesus in private. They said, dude, do you realize that the influencers were really offended by what you just said? They're going to cancel you. But Jesus wasn't worried about that at all. And this is what he said in Matthew 15, verse 13 and 14. He said, every plant that my heavenly Father has not planted will be pulled up by the roots. Leave them. They are blind guides leading the blind. If the blind lead the blind, they will both fall into a pit. Have you ever had a blind friend? I had a great friend in college who was blind. He began to go blind when he was about 18. And so at the time when most of us are, going out to make our way in the world, he was relearning how to do everything. Learning how to get dressed in the morning, how to get around, how to read, how to make friends. Because how are you going to make friends if you don't know who's in the room? How are you going to approach people? But he was so smart, so clever, and such a genuinely awesome, nice guy. And he was really good at getting people to help him because everybody just loved to hang out with him. And so I was privileged enough to, be his friend and hang out with him. And I went to college in Los Angeles, so there's a lot of theme parks down there, right? So I'm just going to give you a tip. If you want to go to a theme park, take your differently abled friend with you, because then you get to cut to the front of the line in the lines. And so this was good. We got the fast pass, because how hard is it for a blind person to go up and down all those stairs that you wait in like the 2-hour lines for the best rides and to go around all the corners and all of that? And so they let people with different abilities get a fast pass so that they can navigate the lines. But the reason that they get to do that is because the rest of life is such a challenge just to get there. It's hard to do that. And so it was great for me to go with him. And, obviously it's great to not have the challenge but still get the perks. But it was great to hang out with him and go to him. But how smart would it have been for me to expect him to lead me around the theme park? How smart would that have been if I said, well, you just be my guide in this place where you can't see the signs and you can't know where to get to each ride or where the fast pass line is or where the other line is or what's on the menu or any of the other things that you need to be able to see to know how to do, much less avoid the runaway strollers and the teenagers pushing each other and not paying attention to who's around. In a place like that, he needed a guide. He was great with his walking stick, and he could get around on his own really well in familiar environments. But in this unfamiliar environment, he needed a guide. And it wouldn't be very smart for me to expect him to be my guide in that kind of setting. And yet when we face our life challenges and our places where we go, where we don't know how to navigate because things are different, a lot of times we end up finding blind guides to follow. Like those social media influencers and people who are out there telling you what they think and what you should do because somebody else is paying them to put an ad on their video so they can make money. It doesn't make sense. Blind guides leading blind. Most people, I would say, if they're not connected to Jesus, they're not going to know the wisest or the best way to live. And especially if you want to live as a Christian and you're trying to live your life for God, you need a guide who also follows Christ. You need to follow Christ in these moments where everything is different. Not just whoever happens to be loudest on your social media or the news or whatever kind of media you're into. And so I ask you today, who are you following? And who are you focusing on? Are you allowing yourself to be led by people who are wise and connected to Jesus? Or are you just following whoever's the loudest in your voice, in your ears, by the celebrities, whoever's paid enough to say what popular people want them to say? Don't focus on the wrong people. Don't follow the blind guides or worry if they don't like you. It is such a challenge to live a genuine, connected to God faith in today's world. Our world pretends to be promoting love and acceptance, but often what they're actually promoting is the right to not be accountable to anybody else for their actions or to decide their own truth. If it's actually true, it's got to have something that we're judging it by, right? But people decide their own truth these days. And if you don't like my truth, well, I'm going to call you a hater by hating you. And if you don't like my truth, I'm going to declare I'm righteous because I'm doing what I want to do, what I feel is living for my true self. But I think anybody should get to do that, to do what they want to do, unless, of course, you're going to tell me there's an absolute truth and an accountability for my actions at the end of the days. That I don't like that. Canceled. It's not a popular message sometimes to say, God made you the way you are on purpose, and he loves you just the way you are. You'd think that we would all be happy to hear that, but people aren't happy to hear that all the time when they just want to live, decide who and what they're going to be and what their own truth is. Jesus was careful about who he focused on, and he was careful about what he focused on. It is so easy for us to focus on the surface things and ignore the matters of the heart. It is, we found ourselves as a country so divided this year about things like masks and police reform and elections and social distancing and immigration and climate change. And it's not that these things aren't important. We should be engaged and thoughtful in the issues of our day. But we ought to be also engaging with those things through the scriptures and through our time in prayer. We ought to be looking for God's wisdom on how we discuss these things and address these things. And so when the disciples asked for an explanation of what Jesus had said about his little parable of what goes in your mouth versus what comes out of your mouth. In verse 16 through 20, I'm going to read to you what he said from the Message translation, because it just kind of brings it up to date a little bit. And they're saying, Jesus, can you tell us what you meant by that? Because I don't quite get it. And Jesus replied, you too? Are you being willfully stupid? Don't you know that anything that is swallowed works its way through your intestines and is finally defecated? But what comes out of the mouth gets its start in the heart. It is from the heart that we vomit up evil arguments, murders, adulteries, fornication, theft, lies, and cussing. Well, kind of sounds like a blockbuster movie, right? Don't you think? That's what pollutes. Eating or not eating certain foods, washing or not washing your hands, that's neither here nor there. Boy, that list, you can just leave that up for a second. That list kind of looks like a lot of what we hear in the news or on social media and all these things these days, right? Arguments, murder, adultery, fornication, theft, lies, cussing. Yeah, that's pretty popular in our media. It's no wonder that we're all anxious and divided in our country. But eating what you eat, how much you wash your hands, that's not the most important thing. So as we're facing the end of the world as we know it, and we're trying to ease our way back into life in some semblance of normalcy, but it's really like 9/11. I mean, if you went to the airport before 9/11, 2001, the terrorist attacks, you could go up and wave at the plane out the window as your friends left on their trip. And sometimes we see movies made or set before then, and everybody's just hanging out, waiting for the plane to leave. It's not like that, and it's never going to be like that again. Airports are never going to go back to the level of security or not security that we had before those attacks. And I think that we can't be sure at this moment if our way of life that we were used to is entirely going to go back to the way it was. We hope it does, but we're not entirely sure. And so if we want to be fine in this life, the only way to be fine is by keeping our eyes on what transcends all of this. By keeping our eyes focused on the one who's beyond time and space, the one who's eternal, and the one who can bring us love and comfort and belonging no matter where we are or who we're with. And the only one who can do that is Jesus Christ. I'm naturally an introvert, which means that I need quiet and alone time in order to gather my thoughts and feel re-energized. We got any introverts in the room? Yeah, a lot of us here. Okay. And then my husband, he's an extrovert. So he gets his energy by going out and meeting new people and being in crowds. We got any extroverts here? Yeah, see, the extroverts are the loud ones. Yeah, party time. Okay. But guess what? I'm an introvert, and I am in a house constantly with my kids, my husband. I've got 4 kids. I've got my husband. I've got a dog. Guess how much alone and quiet time I get? No. Yeah, that's right. Somebody put a 0 up there. And my husband, who likes to go out and meet new people and do big parties and things, guess how much of that he's gotten lately? Yeah, there's about 0 again. Okay, so no matter what our needs, we're not getting them met the same way that we used to get them met, right? Most of us, we have a hard time meeting our needs the way we did before, and we can't expect it. And so we need Jesus to meet us in these moments when we are trying so desperately to be fine, when we're trying to feel fine with all these things that we can't control and that are not what we have prepared ourselves to think of as normal. And so all of these things, if I can't control them and I'm caught up in anxiety and I can't find solutions by trying to control things, what I need is Jesus. When I feel anxious about what I can't control, a lot of the times it's really just as simple as stop, take a deep breath, and focus and pray. A lot of times it's just that simple. As my husband likes to say, if you find yourself digging yourself into a hole that you can't get out of, step 1 is what? Stop digging. Just stop and look up and say, I need some help. And we could say that to Jesus, and we can say that to our friends that are also connected to God. Focus our hearts. That's where we find our healing, when we cry out for help. We're going to go to worship real quickly here at the end, and I can invite the worship team back up. But when I find my heart focusing on Jesus and connecting to God and can tune out those voices that feed the anxiety, often that is when God shows me the next step. And often that one next step is all that I need to be okay for another moment, and God walks with me, and then I can be okay for another moment and just walk my moments with Jesus. And that's when I can feel fine. So I'm just going to pray, and as we worship, I just want to mention one more verse, Matthew 6:33. It says, seek first God's kingdom and God's righteousness, and all the other things you need will be added to you as well. Let's pray. Lord, I just thank you that you are with us in this moment when our whole world is changing and we're just so tired of it, God, and we struggle to feel fine. Lord, we just thank you that you are with us in these moments and that you're there as soon as we call out and ask you for help. God, and I just pray that you would help us to tune out those voices of the media, the social media, all of the people that would say what's true and what we should do and how we should believe. God, help us to go to you and receive your wisdom. Help us to consider in our hearts what you would say, how best to love, and how to have our lives be putting out the things that reflect your heart, Lord. How to be loving and truthful with real truth, and to be fine in our hearts in this moment, Lord. I just pray that you would meet us as we worship a little bit here, as we go out into our days, Lord. Help us to know that you are near, and that with you, we can be fine. Thank you, Jesus.
Thank you all again for joining us. We're so glad that you can be with us online, and stay tuned for our live streams to come, which will soon be Sunday nights at 5 p.m. We're so excited to continue to worship with you and pray with you and just do life with you. So go and be the hands and feet of Jesus in your world today, and we will see you next week.